Well, happy Valentine's Day. And would you like a little juicy tidbit about the sex energy chapter from Think and Grow Rich? Yes, you would. Of course you would. So interestingly enough, the original Think and Grow Rich research done by Napoleon Hill focused on a fairly homogeneous group of men. And the big insight was about, in terms of libido and passion and energy, these men were discovered to have like lots of energy, passion, sexual energy, and the success idea was how do you tamp it down and use it for good? Well, when Sharon Lechter came to me and said, would you like to contribute a chapter, what we thought about and we really decided was for women, libido and passion and energy, it's a little more complicated, right? And it's not just about like, how do we tamp it down? But frankly, it's for many, it's like, how do I ignite this and keep it inflamed so that it can be a life that I have and a business that I have that's passionate and moves me forward? Is that what you want? Yes, it is. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I think is just an interesting piece for all of us, is that we want passion in our business and we want to have passion in our lives. And then how does this connect to today's topic? Well, I'll tell you this. If you've got financial unforgiveness going on, it's hard to be passionate, powerful, profitable. So let's talk about that. And the first thing we're going to talk about is, what does it cost you? So when I say a financial unforgiveness, this could be, I invested in a bunch of marketing programs and then I didn't take action. Or it could be the family has invested and invested again in supporting the business and I feel some guilt and shame about that. Or it could be there was a great opportunity and I said no thank you and I feel like I missed something. So has anybody besides me ever had any experience like that ever? Okay, yeah, thank you, it's a real room. And what happens when we have a past experience, I only think it qualifies as an unforgiveness is if it has something to do with today, if it is affecting us in the present moment. If we've really let it go, it might be a lesson or wisdom from the past, but it's not bothering us today. So the thing I want you to contemplate and start to think about for yourself is, what's a thing from the past that's causing you pain in this moment? So it might be you've got a sense of burden. And that would be, and I love that Ann talked about this, the shame, that sometimes we've got a burden from the past that feels like it weighs down our energy. So if you've got an emotional quality with it that's resentment or anger, or it has some guilt or some shame to it, even a little bit, energetically, it pulls us back. The other piece that there's a cost is what we say to ourselves. So one of the things that comes out in a lot of the research about the difference between men and women when it comes to business and leadership is that, and this is a pretty well-known small business survey, is that a group of male business owners, this was kind of the $250,000 kind of emerging businesses, and a group of women-owned businesses, both had similar optimism about how their sales would grow. They scored very similarly. But when you ask the business owner, how confident are you that you can make it happen? The men rated their confidence really high and the women were lower. And the reason I kind of laugh about it is, it's not funny, but that this has then become a little bit of a theme for women business owners is, we're not confident enough. I actually want to poke a little hole in that. I think what's happening is sometimes women business owners they have a different risk appetite. Sometimes we have a different risk appetite. Or some would say we have a more accurate assessment of our strengths and weaknesses, and it doesn't show up like confidence would. But no matter what is underneath that, what I noticed over and over again, I know that you all know this, is what we say to ourselves is the place that can be really painful. So for many women, the things we say in our own ears about our capacity to be successful in our businesses is sometimes absolutely squelching our creativity, blocking us from innovation because we feel so bad about ourselves. The other thing I noticed about this is we say things to ourselves that we would never say to one of the fabulous, hardworking, radiant women who are at our table. It's true. And the final place where this costs us, and I'd like you to really think, like for yourself, one specific thing that we're going to take through this process, is the final place that it costs us is we miss opportunities going forward. So there's this, there's a good opportunity that comes to build sales, and we don't take it because we're too distracted by energy from the past, conversation in the present moment. We don't see the opportunities, and we don't have everything we need to move forward. So this is painful, yes? Yeah. Would you like a 3-step process to move on from this? Of course you would. Right? So and have I missed anything? Is there anything else in this that it feels like it costs you? Anything else that it's pain, energy, draining? People are tracking? You feel like this? Yeah, okay. In order to move on, one of the things that's most important, and I love that Julie just played the summit piece where Sandra says, there's something bigger than we could even imagine. The place to begin to shift out of this unforgiveness is to start with a larger perspective. So what I'd like you to do is just go ahead and take your head and just dip it down about 30 degrees. And you could look at your handout or just think about the thing that's from the past. And just everybody just feel a little weight and just give a little ugh. Everybody say it together. Ugh. And stay there for a moment. Now I'm going to ask you a question. This thing from the past, is it the total story of you? No. There's something greater, isn't there? Yeah. So I'm going to encourage you to just look up, kind of your head at neutral, and then take one more notch up. Take a deep breath. Release it. And I want you to just feel with your head up just a smidgen. Also kind of look at the women in the room and just feel we're more than this. And this looking upward represents, the way I like to say it is this. Here's a quote about you. Your value is priceless. Your contribution is profound. Yes. Oh, and you are already wealthy. So already wealthy is actually the vision phrase that I married late in life, and when Bill and I came together, a wealth vision, we are already wealthy. And to us, that connects to our spiritual and religious belief that we're connected to something greater. So I invite you, whether it feels like faith or even just a larger perspective, to just feel that even though I'm about to talk about like the burden and the story, and that there's an already wealthy, that's the context for this. So even if you go to a place, some people just go to their why for their business. It's larger than today's problem. Or maybe you just think about ethically, I know that I have value and worth beyond mistakes I've made. Or even if you just say, I realize that everything I do contributes. So a larger perspective, would you agree you're already wealthy? If so, say yes. Yes. All right, good. So now we'll get into like the 3-step process, and I'm going to show 3 slides. And if you want the slides as a follow-up, there's a little follow-up sheet. I'm going to grab one from Wendy here. Yes. On the little follow-up sheet, if you want today's slides, go ahead and write slides on the top and make sure you get them. I'm going to talk about the 3 ideas, and they're on your handout, but then there's also a little bit more detail. So you've got the thing. The first step is to lay down the burden and to learn the lessons. So the laying down the burden includes being accurate and compassionate about exactly what happened. I worked with a gal named Patty who she came and she said, I think I'm a program junkie. She said, I've signed up for this program and that program, and then another program and then another program, and I haven't taken action. So maybe it was just Patty. Has anyone else ever? Okay, so yeah, okay,
No,
yeah.
it's just Patty.
It's just Patty. And for her, it was helpful for her to go back and to be really accurate. Over the last year, it was 2 sales things, 3 technical things, and 1 coaching thing that she had not taken action on. But you know what? When she made the list and she put the numbers next to it, it wasn't as bad as she thought. And so I really encourage, and I love, Ann said this too, is like when you get comfortable with the numbers, writing them down, sharing them with another person, what happens is it takes some of the sting out of it. So the facts ultimately do set us free when we're accurate about them. So once you've got the exactly what happened, then it's very helpful to say, what insights have I gained and how can I account for this? So for example, the insight from Patty was that she was over-investing in trying to sell a program that really wasn't a fit with ideal clients. So do you know what I mean? It's like pushing a square peg in a round hole kind of idea. So for her, her insight was, I'm going to keep my part-time job and I'm going to ramp up a much simpler one-on-one coaching, and I'm going to be an implementer of all the wisdom I learned from these programs, but I don't need another program to try to make the mosaic effect work. So sometimes your insights are not, I just need to work harder. Sometimes the insights are, I want to make a different decision. And then the accounting. So the accounting is, we do need contextually a place to put the numbers. So it's like, if there's numbers you're spending or numbers that have been spent, there's a thing called opportunity cost, which is once the money's been spent, it's been, we don't have that money to go forward and take care of a new opportunity. There's also an idea called sunk cost. Once the money's been spent, it's sunk. We don't have to go back and remake it up. And so Patty calculated and she said, you know what? If I don't sign up for any more programs in the next 90 days, I can save this money back and I can see where the revenue I can make can be 150% of what I invested. You do need a context or an accounting for the money that you have used in the past. And sometimes it's just as simple as saying, that investment helped me make this much going forward. All right, so can you all feel like if you learn the lessons, what does that do for you? Somebody call it out.
Frees you up.
Frees you up. Thank you. Yeah. Release the burden, learn the lesson. The next piece is around the self-talk. So in the present moment, what are you saying to yourself? And this is about releasing judgments, and I'm calling it embracing leadership. The judgments have to do with the emotions that I'm feeling and what I say to myself about what happened. So I mentioned this earlier, the things we say to ourselves are often cruel, and they're often about who we are. So, sometimes it's like, I'm so stupid, or I'm an idiot. Like, that's the kind of thing that women will say to themselves about decisions and choices and things that they've done. It's cruel. And what I want to say is, when you notice that's happening, the very first thing is stop and compassion for yourself. So I know for me, after all these years, something will happen and I'll get this idea, it's like, ooh, I kind of feel fat. And it's like, are you kidding me? Right? It's like that comes up because it's the 14-year-old inside who is really looked quite adorable at 14, right? But I had the idea that there was something wrong. So if you notice and you hear a cruelty for yourself, I want you to just, are you willing to do this? To just at least pause and stop and just say, hey baby, it's not true. It's not true. In fact, look at one of the women at your table and just say anything they would say about themselves like that, just say it's not true. That's not true. That's not true. It's not true. No. 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 It's not. And that kindness to each other and the humor and the sweetness of it, when you've got that with yourself, it breaks you into the present moment, which is there where you can start to ask, given what happened in the past, what's the leadership capacity that I developed? And what's the story I want to empower? We've got a lot of realtors in the room. I worked with a gal named Marty. She built her business in Scottsdale over decades, and her brand was, I help people. Friendly and smart and really good. She was saying, though, I think I'm procrastinating too much. And when we broke that down, she wasn't procrastinating. Her business had shifted, and she was thinking she had to go out and meet people at networking events, when this is one of the rare cases where the strategy that was right for her is going to surprise you a little bit. For her, she didn't need to go out and meet people at networking. She had to learn how to use Facebook better. Because for her, all of her old clients were on Facebook. And when she learned how to use Facebook better, she said, I don't say that I procrastinate. I said what I prioritize is the relationships with existing customers. So start to shift the story into something that you want to empower. And then the final step is this idea about action. So moving forward is about making a commitment to action that moves you forward. And often that commitment is, what's the decision you need to make? So yes, if you've got debt you need to work out of, you need to decide, and I would also highly recommend, if you're going to do some kind of debt reduction plan or some kind of workout, or you're going to change an agreement, is decide, commit, do it, and automate it so that you are not deciding and redeciding all the time. Can you just feel how it's like that? Just boom. Make the decision, move forward. And then out of the decisions, you're continuing to be in commitments on a regular basis. So commitments for how you're going to act going forward, commitments for the kinds of decisions and criteria you'll use when there's a new investment. And then this is so important, what support do I need? Okay. So does this sound like a good process for you to choose to move through an old unforgiveness?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Michael says yes. So do you choose freedom?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, look at this, we've got this happy feeling. I choose freedom. So let's say it, I choose freedom.
I choose freedom.
Now that's the good news, but of course, because I'm real, I'm gonna give you some of the not so good news. Are you willing to hear it?
Sure.
Yes, yes, let's hear the not so good news. So the not so good news is this. I want to give you a warning. And the warning is this, is that in order to have a sustained and different financial leadership experience, what we all need is structure, commitment, and support. And that is why groups like eWomen are, yes, it's promotion, but what did people say when they were up here? I wanted to find my tribe. I wanted to be in a place where other people are building their business. I know I need support. And I want to have folks that I can talk to in a real way about the challenges I face and about what's really happening in my business. So that's one of the things that I just really want to say for all of us. You know, if you're a business coach, you need business coaching. If you're, doing marketing, you need help with your own marketing. It's like we are all here to lift each other as we rise. So, yeah, it's an amen. So what is next? I encourage you to take one item at a time and move through the process. And really take your time with it, do some journaling, share with a friend or a partner, and then continue as things come up. You clear out the past and you work this process going forward. And then please do stay in touch with me. So you've got on this follow-up form a plethora of things that, ways we can stay in touch. I'm happy to like your business page. We've got a video training. There's some other things there. I'm going to stay for Afterglow. And once you complete those, you can hand them to Betsy or come to the table, but that's the way we can stay in touch. And then very importantly, I encourage you, I see too many fabulous women business owners who are investing every single penny just in the marketing and product in the business and not enough. Look at Kimberly's like, you've got to invest in you because, yes, it's true. We're the talent, we're the business, we're the brand. And so continue to do that. And when you do that, when you forgive yourself, when you invest in yourself, it makes a difference. You really do thrive. So this is the affirmation. You've got it on your handout, and I thought it would be a wonderful way for us to close out is to say this together. So we're going to start with the I love and respect myself. So big breath in. Together we say, I love and respect myself enough to live a financially prosperous and responsible life. Woohoo. Thank you all so much.